Welcome to the art project. We're going to make a 3-color reduction print, also known as a suicide print, because once you have done all of the prints that you're going to make, you cannot go back and make more like it because you essentially destroy the print as you go. Anyway, it's going to be a lot of fun. Let me show you how we're going to do it. Don't forget to give me a thumbs up if you enjoy the video, get anything out of it, and don't forget to subscribe. So this is the print that I made. It is a bunch of green skull Christmas ornaments. I used these worksheets to make it, and I'm going to show you how I use these worksheets. I'm going to try and make it go fast, but this process actually took a really long time. The first thing I did was the 3-color reduction print thumbnail page. I highly recommend using this to get started. You come up with about 6 different ideas, and as you're coming up with those ideas, they lead to the next idea, and eventually help you to come up with with one really good idea. So if you like using a sketchbook, you can do that, but for this, you can also use this sheet, cut the pieces out, cut the rectangles out, and glue them into your sketchbook. So it works both ways. If you're doing a class and you need tangible evidence to grade, this is a great worksheet to use. So I started with some ornaments, and then I come up with skull ornaments. Once I figured out the basic composition that I wanted on the first worksheet, I decided to refine that composition a little bit more, and I did that here on the 3-color reduction print rough draft worksheet. I basically took the last idea that I had. I started with ornaments, and then I decided to do a Christmas tree, and then I decided to do a skull with a Santa Claus hat, and then I came up with the idea of doing a skull as an ornament. Anyway, one thing led to another. Ideas kept coming as I was working. In order to come up with ideas, you really have to start working. You're not going to come up with an idea just sitting there going, think. So, anyway, then I got to this worksheet, and I'm refining my final idea that I liked the most. And I am trying to come up with a composition that's not just one skull right in the middle of the page, all boring and everything, but like a still life of ornaments and different directions, so you really understand, what the ornaments are like. As I'm doing this, I'm coloring in the eyes black, and then I'm leaving some highlights. That's what those big white spots are. Eventually, I decided I didn't like those highlights. Here, I am taking the rough draft and I'm tracing it with tracing paper. Once I get it traced with tracing paper, I can then flip it over and transfer it to the final. And by flipping it over, it makes it backwards, which is really good, especially if you're using words, because you want your words to be backwards so that when you print them, they'll print forward. So I transferred it to the final, and then I went over it a little bit with pencil and then with Sharpie. I figured out what colors I wanted to use in the on the rough draft, but I'm not going to fill in all of the colors on the final. You can if you want to, but I'm really just going to trace this and transfer it to the linoleum block now. To do that, I am going to scribble all over the back of it, and this is going to turn this piece of paper into sort of a transfer sheet. I'm going to fold it on the lines on the top and the left side so I know where the linoleum goes. I'm going to tape it down in place and start tracing. I gave everything just kind of a once good tracing around everything, and then I was able to take the linoleum off. First, before I take it off though, before I untape it, I checked it for things that I might have forgotten, and you can see here it transferred and I forgot a lot of stuff. So that's what that is. I'm going to finish tracing that up, and then I'm going to pull it off, and I'm going to go over everything with Sharpie. There's a lot of a lot of work involved in a 3-color reduction print. So um, fortify yourselves and get ready for a lot of work. The first time I did this, I actually did it with a marker other than a Sharpie, and that wasn't good. A Sharpie works better. It stays throughout the entire print. And here I'm putting highlights with a white gel pen. And then I compared it to my original rough draft idea. Of course, I left off the really big spots. These are the knives that I'm using. It's got a nice sharp V shape, and I also used a U shape. Sorry, y'all, that's my speaker connecting with my Bluetooth. Turn that off. There we go. So for the bigger areas, you want to use the U shape. If you're trying to do details, use the small V shape. There should be 2 sizes. The kit that I got had 2 sizes of V-shaped linoleum cutters, a small and a large, and this is the U shape and the V shape for comparison. Then I use the V shape to cut, or the U shape. Here I am switching from the V shape to the U shape just for the big area in the middle. Once you finally get all this cut out, all this work done, the printing process is kind of slow and tedious too. The video is going to go faster because I'm not going to show you all that I went through to print each one, but it's hard work. By the end of, and of course I'm old, but by the end of each printing session, my back was hurting. So again, fortify yourselves and prepare for a lot of work. This is what it looked like. I cut out the highlights first and the table. When you're doing this, when you're setting up your plan, you need to work from the lightest color to the darkest color. And basically what you're going to do is you're going to print a whole lot of the lightest color. And then you're going to print the next color over some of that color, and it's going to cover it up. So the first thing I printed was some gold. You'll notice the setup that I have here is nice and organized. I've got a printing plate with a brayer that I'm using to roll it out. Then in the middle I have a stack of newspapers and my printing block. Every time I roll ink over it, I usually get ink onto the newspaper, and I'll use the newspaper 4 or 5 times, and then I'll throw away the top newspaper so I'll have a clean section. Then I'm going to put the linoleum block into the registration, which I made out of foam core. You can make it out of a lot of different things. I measured a rectangle that I laid the piece of paper into. The rectangle that I measured is 6 by 9, and the paper that I'm printing on is 6 by 9. And the window for the linoleum block is right in the middle of that 6 by 9. I just realized that I probably need to make a video on registration alone, so I will try to do that in the next couple of days and have that loaded up to YouTube. As you can see, I did about 30 prints every time I did this, and the reason is because I wanted to get 15 good ones. Whatever you're going to do, however many you want, you might as well double it. That's registration is hard. You need to be real precise with it, and the more precise you can be, the better. Here I'm carving out the last of it. This is basically carving away everything that I don't want to be black. So this is sort of the black outline of the whole thing, and I'm switching blades again and going back to it. So I worked from, like I said, the lightest color to the darkest color. I thought that the lightest color was gold, and so I printed that first pretty much all over, and then looked like a big blob of gold on the paper. Then I carved out everything that I wanted to stay gold, and I printed green, and then I carved out everything that I wanted to stay green and gold, and which basically left me with the black shadows and the black outlines, and I printed those. really sort of the easiest print because there was the least amount of ink. That's pretty much it. Go check out Spots and Dots YouTube channel. Just throwing that out there. And hope you enjoyed the video. Go make some art.
We too. Isn't he cute? Mm-hmm.